song if you want to.
You'd have to edit it out.
Welcome back to another episode of Lionheart Radio. I'm your host, Memo Ochoa, co-founder of Blue Aviv, along with...
Hi guys, Claudia Challoner here, Doctor of Physical Therapy with Movement RX and nationally ranked powerlifter.
And today we are at Clinch Gear headquarters in Santee with Greg and Jeff Brady.
How's it going?
Hello, hello.
Thanks for being with us, guys. Appreciate it. And
You're welcome.
For letting us be here at HQ. So let's get right to it. How did you guys end up running Clinch Gear?
It's a long story. I'll try to give you the abbreviated, but a couple of friends of mine started Clinch Gear with a guy by the name of Dan Henderson, who was a UFC fighter, and they created the first ever high-performance board short from their backyard, about in early 2005. And since then, we've kind of morphed into kind of a cross between an MMA fight short and a WOD short is what we primarily focus on. We do men's and women's performance apparel. But when we first started out, there wasn't CrossFit, so the type of customers and athletes that we were going after were wrestlers and MMA fighters. Mm-hmm. They were doing CrossFit style movements, a lot of high intensity training, and at the time, if you remember back, a decade or so ago, your board shorts had zero stretch in them at all. So we were the first company to introduce two-way stretch, four-way stretch material to a board short. We had surfers, we're a San Diego brand, we had surfers wearing our shorts, and Billabong, Quicksilver were like, who is Clinch Gear? Now if you were to go to a surf shop, any board short that you buy is going to be a two-way stretch or a four-way stretch, all over stretch board short. So guys back then were wearing a zero stretch short. So we tried to help fill that void. And then CrossFit came along. We had CrossFitters that were wearing our shorts. We have pictures of some of the original Greg Amundsen, Rory McInerney, and a lot of these guys at some of the first ever L1 classes, early 2006, wearing Clinch Gear board shorts. So people try to classify our short as a fight short. We're not a fight short. It's just a high performance board short to train in.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. You just came up, or a bunch of fighters came up with the short because obviously it was functional.
There was a void in the market.
They needed that type of a short. So since then we've expanded to women's apparel, and in 2007 we started filling that void for full custom sublimated apparel for schools. We started doing everything from your small club to Division I colleges. We've done singlets for national programs, Oklahoma Sooners. We do their shorts, we do their warm-up gears, their bags. So we offer that for clubs, for CrossFit gyms, for MMA gyms, jiu-jitsu clubs. We do spats. We have our own factory, so we're able to produce small quantities. Mm-hmm. So what sets us apart from a lot of our competitors is we have competitors that are just in the MMA space. We have competitors that are just in wrestling, competitors that are just in CrossFit, and then we have competitors that are just full custom. So we have to deal with all of them because those are all different facets of our business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you guys patent that two-way, four-way stretch?
We patented our closure system, and we actually created, so the gusset that you would see in a shorts, that long rectangular gusset that runs between the crotch of the short, we actually created that gusset. So before then, it was just a seam that was sewn together, and they tried to put the stretch on the outside. So that's kind of where we started, was side panel stretch. And then the first gusset we introduced was a round stretchy gusset that would support some more movement. And then we actually created the rectangle style gusset that you see now, and you see that throughout a lot of the shorts in the industry.
And that's something about our company is we design apparel for the athlete. So what does that mean? We do a lot of test fitting. A lot of samples. We want to make sure it fits right, where it sets us apart from some of our competitors that will just go to a company, a factory overseas, and say, this is my logo and I want black shorts and this is the design I want, and they get it sent over to them. They had no decision on even what the short looks like, how long it is, how it fits their customer, and that's something that we pride ourselves on, is basically having a short that is functional and durable. And the same with our women's line. It took us 4 months to release our women's line because we know as a woman, if you buy something and it doesn't fit, you're never going to buy it again. But if you buy it and it fits, you're going to buy every color they have. So we took our time because we knew that's what was going to happen. So obviously right now, so what we do is, like Greg was mentioning, a lot of the San Diego CrossFit gyms, we do full custom sublimated gear co-branded for their gym. So when they're at a Proving Grounds event or they're hosting their own event at their gym, their athletes can be wearing stuff that's got their gym name on it. They can feel proud when they're on the podium or they're competing that they're representing their gym. So we offer full custom sublimated women's capri pants, full length leggings, booty shorts, and then the men's shorts. And then we also offer doing all their screen printing. What's been very successful with us in the CrossFit gyms is we want them to focus on building their gym and their box and retaining their customers. We don't want them to worry about, oh, we're out of shirts or what design are we going to come up with. A lot of those box owners don't have a graphic artist working for them, so they just make the same shirt over and over and over again. So what we're offering to them is, hey, every 6 to 8 weeks, let us send you a new design based off of your logo. It doesn't need to be the same font, but 4th of July is coming up. Let's do a theme shirt. So we've got a handful, anywhere from 5 or 6 boxes right now, where we send them a new design every 8 weeks. They order 30 men's shirts, 30 women's shirts, and they're selling through them like crazy because the box owners now have a variety of shirts to sell their members, and it's been very successful. So we're trying to, let people know that Clinch Gear is not an MMA short. It's a performance short. So we get that question a lot. It's like I don't want to be disrespectful when people come in and they walk through our booth and go, "Oh, you guys are those UFC shorts," and I more educate them on it and ask them questions because I want to know in the marketing, why do you think it's just an MMA short? It's because you used to see us on the floor at Strikeforce, which our logos were everywhere, and I think that's where it comes from. That's where they used to see us. But we've also changed our logo now. It's a CG, kind of an infinity. It's a little bit cleaner. It's not, we've kind of branched out a little bit and have new designs for obstacle course racing and CrossFit. And then we have our old ones that we use for wrestling and MMA. So we can kind of have a little bit of a distinction between both.
So obviously the clinch, referring to the clinch in wrestling or whatnot, is what
it was
driving.
But now if you look at our website, how we've kind of put a spin on that, because obviously if you have someone that's new that's coming in that's never heard of Clinch Gear or haven't bought our material or haven't bought our shorts to see exactly how they're made and how they feel, we're pushing the clinches now. It's clinch your goals, clinch the championship, and not just clinch your dreams, not just the clinch, which is known in wrestling. So that's kind of why we changed our original icon. Is people don't know what it is, but it's actually someone in the clinch.
Well, and we noticed that too, being at the regionals and actually being at the CrossFit Games this year, set up in Vendor Village, that there were a lot of people that really never followed MMA or wrestling and had no idea that the clinch stood for, a clinch, and like a wrestling move or a hold.
Yeah.
And then when they put our shorts on, I got to tell you, I wish we could have videotaped, set up a GoPro in the corner and watch, but 90% of the people that put our shorts on when they tried them on walked out and went through the rest of the day wearing our shorts because they just could not believe how they fit them, the lightness to them, that they felt like they weren't wearing anything. And these are the customers that we're starting to build. We're starting to go to events all over Southern California now, and we're starting to see a lot of our gear out there. Again, we're a functional brand. We are designed for the athlete. Even when we were in the MMA space, we got a lot of flack because we went up against all these lifestyle brands. We weren't a walkout t-shirt company. There were companies that just did walkout t-shirts, and they had, again, like Jeff was explaining, they just had a cheap blank that they purchased in 3 different colors overseas and slapped their name on it. And a fighter would be sponsored by that company, but if you would look at pictures from their entire fight camp, they wore our shorts and trained their entire fight camp, and then wore brand X, whatever it was, for their fight because that's who paid them. We still have top top fighters now that we still send gear to. Several of them are champions in the UFC because they love training in our gear. Probably one of the fastest growing, CrossFit's one of them, but one of the fastest growing sports that we are now involved in is obstacle course racing. Our shorts are very durable. They're lightweight, they breathe. They can hit an obstacle because, you know, if you run a Spartan race, they get you wet usually right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Before you even hit the next obstacle, our shorts are almost dry. I've ran several Spartan races, and I keep shaking my head every time I go out there, and there's some guy that's wearing these long Adidas basketball shorts with pockets, and you can see on his face, and it's his first time, and you can see on his face, I'm like, bro, you just added 10 pounds to the rest of that run, because as soon as you hit that first obstacle course and you're digging through the mud, you're going to be pulling mud out of your pockets. So we're starting to see a lot of growth in that area, which is exciting for us because we love obstacle course racing. We love CrossFit. Both of us have powerlifting backgrounds, but we also have wrestling backgrounds as well.
Nice. Yeah, and I own a few pair of your shorts, and I love them. They're awesome. Like you were saying, feels like you're wearing nothing when you're lifting weights or running. I love them.
Yeah, one of our mottos is "Will bend, won't break," but it should be "Feel like you're training naked."
Yeah.
You should get that switched over.
Yeah.
Well, we almost did. Train naked, and we almost put one of our athletes that we used to sponsor, Danny Seidel. She had a photo shoot where she was naked, and there was a picture of her where she was doing this pull up with her legs crossed in the back, and I mean just fully ripped, striation from head to toe. And I'm like, wow, we could put that on the back of our van. And I'm like, wait a minute, rear end, literally. So we had to move away from that idea.
So what are some of your MMA athletes that you guys sponsor?
Well, right now, kind of the face of the company, who used to own the brand, is Dan Henderson. He just retired. He just had an epic 5-round war with Bisping.
Which you won, I think.
Yeah, well, we were all there. We were all there in Europe, in Manchester, UK. Even the fans thought that Dan Henderson won.
Gosh.
If you were to look at Michael Bisping's face, his face definitely lost that fight.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I got the pay-per-view just for that fight. I didn't care about any of the other fights. I'm like, I just want to see Dan's last fight.
It lived up to the hype. There's a picture right behind you of that first knockout. It almost happened again.
Like 3 times.
He just missed on one punch that would have solidified it. He didn't get the nod, unfortunately, in that business, especially in a championship fight. If you don't finish in his hometown with a knockout and it goes the distance, a lot of times you'll lose that decision, and he did. We got to enjoy a cold beer an hour after that fight. Happened to be 6 a.m. in London, but Bisping was in the hospital getting his face put back together, and we were getting ready to jump on a plane, all of us, and go to Amsterdam and celebrate.
So
and that's what we did.
Dan sold the company in 2010, and he cashed out, but he loves the company. So whenever we have anything new, we send him everything because that's all he trains in. I mean, he was the person that helped design the shorts. I mean, the company wouldn't be here today if Dan didn't take those steps to build the company. He pioneering the shorts, and so Dan has been the face of the company, but he's an unpaid sponsor face. He just loves Clinch Gear, wants the brand to do good. He sold the company.
Personal friend still.
And he's a personal friend of ours.
One of the things that we built our business on was working with up-and-comers, and that doesn't, whether it's a CrossFitter, MMA fighter, wrestler. So we kind of went back to our roots once we purchased the company back. What Jeff didn't tell you is Dan sold the company to a division of Payless, multi-billion-dollar
shoe
company.
Oh, okay.
So Payless owned brands like Airwalk, at the time Saucony, Keds, a lot of lifestyle
Vision
brands.
Streetwear.
Yeah, Vision. And they were all lifestyle brands. They didn't know how to run a wholesale model performance apparel brand. So after about 2 years of me working for them as their VP of sales, I was just running my head into the wall. And I found out that they were looking to offload all the brands, and Payless was going to take Airwalk back, so we bought the brand back and moved it back to San Diego. They were going to dump it, and I just had too much passion for the brand, so I wasn't going to let that happen. So we've kind of gone back to the basics with going after up-and-comers. We sponsor some up-and-comers in Bellator, World Series of Fighting. even when the UFC was allowing sponsorship, we stopped sponsoring fighters in the UFC because the UFC had this huge tax that they wanted. It was a sponsor tax,
God.
and we refused to pay it. So we started putting our investment into the young up-and-comers. So back then, we were sponsoring guys like Michael Chandler, who was a champion of Bellator. We were sponsoring at the same time Tyron Woodley, who was an up-and-comer. He was a wrestler who is now a champion in the UFC. He still wears our gear. I'm working on with him to hopefully do his kids' wrestling club. And guys like that, we'll reach out to him and we'll do his wrestling club at just our cost. Just to take care of guys that just... They love everything about our brand and who we are. No one ever has anything bad to say about our brand or about our ownership or our management. So we've got a couple of fighters in Bellator. We have a lot of CrossFitters and a lot of obstacle course racers. And those guys that we sponsor, I would say probably 75% or plus are military, law enforcement, current or former. That's kind of who we get behind, are those type of athletes. We know that they've done a service, whether it was military. A lot of them are now law enforcement, and a lot of the military guys don't have a lot of income to expend, whether it's to pay for a Spartan race or some of like the proving grounds, things like that. So we'll put some teams together, we'll pay for their entries, we'll give them gear, and then some of those guys we'll take care of with gear training throughout the year. So that's kind of how we've rolled back the company, is to look after those athletes that are up and comers, and if they get a big deal from some large brand, then more power to them. We love them. A lot of times when that does happen, though, they still don't like wearing that brand and want to wear ours. But we understand. So that's kind of where we're at now. Probably not too many names that you would know. We just a heavyweight in Bellator. We sponsored Tony Johnson. We have a fighter in Bellator who's getting ready to fight Paul Daly, who's a big name in the UK. He used to fight in the UFC.
Derek Anderson, he's from North County.
Yeah, his name is Derek Anderson. So that's a big fight for us. We have a guy by the name of Shane Crutchin. He competes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well as an MMA fighter. He's a former Marine, and he is going to be fighting on the New Year's card for World Series of Fighting. So those are the guys that we kind of get behind. One of the companies that we work with is...
Let me mention something about Shane, because he was a guy that came back from overseas with a lot of the same issues that a lot of people, they're not getting taken care of by the VA. Started drinking, started doing drugs. He weighed almost 300 pounds before MMA changed his life and started training.
in Jiu-Jitsu.
You know how much he fights at, what weight he fights at right now? 145 or 155.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a transformation of your life and getting back into shape so he's definitely someone that we wanted to get behind, because he's kind of an inspiration. He just traveled around with some other MMA fighters to visit the troops overseas, but he's like one of those guys where he got sick of feeling sorry for himself and did something about it, and MMA saved his life. Training, jiu-jitsu, he threw his life into that, and he's been, cleaned his life up, got in shape.
And there's guys that have done the same thing with CrossFit. Derek Weida, who I follow, big inspiration in the adaptive athletes community. We're big. We're Chappie Hunter, adaptive athletes. He's been with us since I've known Chappie for 20 years. So he was one of our athletes before he
became a nub.
Before he inherited his nub.
Before he gets nub.
But even CrossFit changes their lives with just the community, and we love being a part of that. It's the same type of community that we see in BJJ. It's the same type of community that we see in the wrestling room, that we see with CrossFit, and we love it. We love being a part of it. We've been with Marcus Luttrell's Lone Survivor Foundation since his inception. We give a lot. We have a pair of shorts and we have shirts that we design throughout the year. We also give back to the Challenge Athletes Foundation. We work with the Police and Fire Championships. We're a sponsor of theirs, so we set up at their events. So that's kind of like who we like to get behind. And a lot of our athletes like that as well in that aspect, and that's one of the reasons why they like being a part of our brand.
Well, one of the, like Greg was saying, one of the athletes who we sponsored for a long time, because before the company moved, we started going towards CrossFit athletes, and Kevin Ogre was one of our sponsored CrossFit athletes. Broke his neck while he was wearing
Clinch Gear head to toe.
Oh, wow.
And our company, before we bought it, the entire was it a month of
An
sales?
entire month.
Yeah, they donated all the profits.
I think we donated probably somewhere close to the, I don't know, $20,000 to $30,000 to Kevin Ogre's recovery fund.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
and it's
something
great.
that we've
It's
always
great to
been
run into
behind.
him and see him at the CrossFit Games, at one of the booths at whatever he's representing. Great guy. But yeah, those. I mean, we get behind all those guys. We do what we can for them, and we enjoy doing that.
Yeah, that's
great.
awesome. You guys are very personal and generous.
Yeah,
You don't
for sure.
you don't get that, from the big companies. Everyone's just kind of like, oh yeah, here's some free stuff.
Yeah.
Go make us look good. Where you guys
Absolutely.
actually give a shit about people and your athletes. That's
Well, and
awesome.
that's especially when you have to do that when you're local and you're trying to make an impact in your community. CrossFit is pretty tight knit, and
very.
as we know that it's tight knit. And Greg, people get mad, but Greg and I always you like to use the word that it's Kool-Aid. It's you might have a great product, but they all might be wearing something that's inferior because right now that's what's being pushed out there, and they all wear it. So it happens in a lot of different sports. We have conversations with you about it because you're a supplement, and it's
Marketing.
it's marketing, and but you're marketing something that's your product, and your ingredients are what's you get behind your product, and your product's much better than what other people are taking out there, but
Right.
they're taking that product because of the marketing budget that's behind it. But most likely that company that's getting behind it, they may not be here in 2 years because they're throwing all their money into marketing and not developing a product. And then when people figure out their product shit, they stop taking it. The same thing with us. We've got some competitors that are out there that are in our county that are our direct competitor that will likely not be around anymore because they threw all their money at marketing, but not in the development of the product.
Yep.
People eventually are going to be like, well, yeah, I wear this
Because it was cool.
I wear XYZ short because they're selling them at 60% off.
Yeah.
So I bought 4 of them. I guess when I wear them out, I'll buy your stuff. So they're wearing stuff because everyone else is wearing it, or they're taking stuff because everyone else is taking it, or drinking stuff because everyone else is drinking it. And it sucks, but we understand that's the way it is. We just have to try and get it. Greg, especially with the women, Greg loves to tell girls, like especially they're in our booths, like you're gonna love getting in my pants.
I don't
It's a good line, kid.
I don't think I phrase it like that.
Yeah, but it's something
As soon as they
similar.
do
Like,
put the pants on, they can't stop rubbing
they can't
the fabric.
stop. Yeah, they don't want to get out of it. So it's as soon as someone does try our product or wear our product or train in our product, like Greg was mentioning, I don't even know if he got to finish, but we've had guys that come at the CrossFit Games. Obviously, they're there. It's most of them that travel there come to every single day. The first day, the guy came in and bought a pair of shorts. The next day, he came in and bought every single style short we had
In his size.
because he said it was the best feeling short that he's ever wore, and he's not going to train anything else ever again. So, but that's not rare. It happens a lot when customers try our stuff on. They wind up buying every single color we have, or if they just like black, they buy 4 pairs of the black ones.
Yeah.
So it's just we need to try and get as many people into our product or into our shorts as possible, just like you want as many people to try your product as possible, because they become believers once they try it and they see how it works, and or they feel how our gear works, or they can't feel it. Our gear doesn't get in the way. And a lot of people ask, like, why don't you have elastic waistband and a tied waist with, well, if you're doing any type of Olympic lifting and that tie is bunching out, when you're bringing the bar up, your bar is hitting it. The little ends of the ties are getting jabbed into your stomach when you're lifting.
Well,
So-
high intensity training just adds high intensity training, so our shorts are designed to fit your waist and not move, to stretch around you. We know there's a void, and we just developed a
pocket
2-pocket
short.
elastic waistband short. It's going to be based off of our Crossover 3 short, the one that you love, the really lightweight, breathable short. It's a hybrid. It's a cross between our Signature Series short that has a lot of stretch around the back lumbar area. It's going to have the 360 stretch gusset. It's going to be a very durable fabric. It's not going to be
So save your Lululemons for the farmer's market.
yeah, that's what I
and
tell
stop
people. I mean,
training
I can't tell you how many times I see guys that come into our booth and like, are these going to snag like my Lululemons? And I'm like, no, dude, because your Lululemons are not WOD shorts.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm sorry you spent $85 on your shorts and you snagged them when you're lifting, but they look cool, but they're like I said, they're cool for slipping on and going to the farmer's market. You know, not a knock on Lululemon. It's a knock on you trying to buy it, and obviously they did a great job in their marketing because they made you believe that short's made for working out in. Some of their fabrics I've seen are, but some of their fabrics aren't. I mean, it's a knit fabric and it'll catch, and once it starts catching on things and it starts snagging and pulling, your pretty shorts aren't pretty anymore. You can beat up our shorts, and I know that you've lifted in them. You can have them all chalked up, and you're like, oh my god! And as soon as you wash them, they look brand new again. I'm not sure. I don't remember if Jeff said, but I mean, we have a shorts that we did for Cal Poly in 2007. Dan Henderson still wears them probably once a week.
Man,
That's a lot
And
of use.
so we, like I said, Jeff's had a customer that said, "Man, why do you make shorts so good that they don't fall apart?" And I said, "Do you just hear yourself?" So what we're actually starting to see is these customers are giving the shorts to their little brother, or they're giving them to their buddy. Hey, I got these 2 pairs of Clinch Gear shorts. Try them out.
And they buy the new
Because
ones.
we're constantly coming out with some new colors, new designs. We're working on a new series right now, the Awesome Warrior series, that they're going to want that in every single color. And then next year, it's going to be a new Warrior series or whatever series it may be. New colors, new styles, new designs. So it's not, like Jeff said, it's common that we have guys that will buy, when they come out, they'll buy one of every single size. Maybe they'll do that for style and color in their size. That happens a lot. One of the things that we also run into when we're at events is, if not so much in San Diego, but if we're at a CrossFit Regionals or a larger like throwdown, there'll be some competitors out there that have what looks like our shorts, and you don't have this problem in the supplement industry, but us in the apparel industry, I probably get 4 emails a day from factories overseas sending me pictures of my shorts with my logo photoshopped off, saying, "Hey, we want to build your apparel."
Yeah.
So we actually have companies out there, I won't say their names, but some of them are somewhat known in the CrossFit space that actually have our template of a short in a
With
total
inferior
fabric construction, and I just feel it and I laugh. But I mean, that's something we have to deal with. It sucks.
yeah,
but
it's rough. What a grind, man.
Yeah.
For you guys, even again for Lou Vive, like you're saying, just trying to get people to try the stuff on once they do, or once they take our supplements, we're like, just try it, see how you feel. You know, you guys, same thing. See how you feel once you try it on.
And you're like us starting out. It's it started with a couple of people with their own money. We're not looking to do an angel fund and get $3 million and then just do a ton of marketing and have no control of the company. We want to try and grassroots it to a point where we're starting to now do an ambassador program, which I think you guys launched as well. Because those are all soldiers. Once they try a product and they love it, it's easier for them to tell other people about it.
How long have you guys been doing that?
We just started.
with the new
starting
website
it.
launch, we had to hold off on it.
Got you.
So we're just now rolling around to getting it rolling.
So we have athletes buy our stuff off our website at full price and hashtag Team Clinch Gear, and they're proud about wearing Clinch Gear. Then I reach out to them going, "Hey, do you want to be an ambassador? You're buying all of our stuff, and you're giving me a lot of love on social media. Let me give you a discount, and you can keep spreading it out." So that's how a couple of our top obstacle course racers were buying our stuff, and I wake up in the morning and
with some big sponsors and
thousands of followers.
Course.
And I'm like, wow, you're buying our stuff at full price off our website and loving it, and you're giving us all this, the love on social media. Let's hook you up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Great. So what kind of apparel do you have for women? So you said you had like capri, long pant,
Sports
short
bras.
Oh, okay.
Then we have your tri-blend racerback tank tops. V-neck tri-blend shirts.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of big graphic stuff on our stuff. A lot of them are like a straight black capri pant with just a color logo. We wanted to make sure that we hit it out the park with our product before we went crazy with designs, because
well, that's the base of it, though.
Yeah.
If the product's not like
exactly,
I don't care what color it is. If it doesn't fit right, then I'm not gonna buy it.
We rolled out the basics last year, and then in 2017 we're going to start adding some more. We'll probably have some technical tops.
Oh, okay.
Come out with some more colors in the capri pants. But like I said, it was important. We had to make sure that the fit and the feel was right.
Yeah.
And we think we got that down. So
that's awesome. Nothing's worth it.
Well, you haven't been able to wear it yet, so you can't say like Memo says. He knows he's trained in it. Although he had to hit
Every
him up
week.
a little bit on his.
No, I still haven't done that to mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just Rick's.
Yeah, Rick. Well, we like our short
And Rick's put his shorts through the ringer.
I wear mine
literally.
every week, wash them every week, and they still look brand new.
He
still feel good.
He ran 70 plus miles of a 100-mile race in our shorts, and they held up really well.
Mm-hmm.
To him losing bowel movements.
Yeah, a lot of body fluids.
A lot of body fluids in there. And all you had to do is spray them out.
Yeah. Hose them down. Wash them.
Like new.
Yep. Yeah, they're great shorts. All your stuff's great. We have some of your we have your jackets as well.
Yeah,
those are killer.
Lot of that stuff for your team.
Yep, everything's high quality. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, hit us. Anyone out there listening that needs anything custom. I mean, it's custom, not semi-custom. It's full cut and sew, built with your design elements, colors.
So everything is designed right here in-house. Everything is sublimated and printed here in the U.S. Even a lot of it is cut here in the U.S. All of our manufacturing all of our sewing is done in our factory just right across the border, 5 minutes in Mexico. Mm-hmm. When I took the company over, everything was being done in China. As soon as I took the company over, and I was not... When we decided to go to China in 2011, wasn't happy about it. So that is one. I'd love to be able to do all of our sewing here in the U.S. Unfortunately, just the cost is way too expensive. But everything is designed right here. It's actually packaged and labeled and everything back here in the U.S. But it's just sewn right now. It's just fabricated and sewn, put together in our Mexico factory.
So what is your guys' background with the fitness industry then, and athletics?
So, well, we've both been athletes our whole life. I was a college track, shot put, discus, hammer throw, powerlifting. With all those, pretty much, if you were a thrower, you were a power lifter.
Yeah.
I got into sales and actually started running supplement companies. So my background was building sales teams and selling sports supplements.
Okay.
Direct mail, over the phone. We would go to your big shows and set up booths. Mm-hmm. And while I was doing that, I was in the mortgage industry. Did that for a while. Greg was always doing sales as well.
Yeah, I mean, I started out.
He was in apparel. Yeah.
My first job was in apparel. I worked for at the time a small little company called Life's a Beach, and we created a company off of that called No Fear. So
okay.
So I was with that company when we first launched No Fear. So we were one of the first companies to ever do the shirts with all the sayings and things like that on their stuff.
I remember No Fear.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I had a couple of those.
That was my first taste of apparel, and we were one of the first companies to really start sponsoring athletes. Mm-hmm. We started out doing action sports. We were doing a lot of the motocross guys, a lot of like the Mickey Thompson off-road guys. Before the guys started doing the crazy flips and jumps on their bikes, but when that started, we were sponsoring some of those guys, and then went into retail after that, and then went into
beverage.
I was in the beverage industry for a while. I was in the mortgage industry for 8 years, and then got back into apparel when I came back on with Clinch Gear in early 2011.
Awesome.
Sure.
I think I see it. I don't know. Maybe it's just with CrossFit, more and more like these smaller apparel companies opening up, and I just wonder like where they're coming from, and like. And do you guys find that a lot?
We do, and I think a lot of those companies that you're seeing, most of them are little boutique T-shirt companies.
Yeah, that's what I was.
A lot of them, and again, that's not us. That's more of the lifestyle side of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the CrossFit shirts with the cute sayings that the girls like to wear.
Yeah. And
even some of the boys like to wear. I guess. Again, if they try to go into the bottoms or the shorts, the performance. They're reaching out to Pakistan and China, and they're getting poor blanks. They may do okay with it, but I have to say that we've probably, to this date, we have probably manufactured and sold, at least 500,000 shorts.
Probably.
There's a lot of people that have wore our shorts, so it's kind of hard to get into that space and not have a following or people who have wore your apparel. People that may not work out may see something cute, whether it might be a capri pant or a cool design. It may not be functional. Our Our women's capri pant is both a compression and a recovery material. Almost all of our materials are proprietary. We manufacture them. We have them sent here in containers. So a lot of those can't be matched. So that's what you'll see is a lot of the t-shirt companies, and they'll be around for maybe 6 months to a year.
That's definitely not us. I mean, people ask us. There's plenty of companies in San Diego that do the t-shirts with the different sayings, or we offer good performance t-shirts that aren't heavy logoed, smaller logo, but it's a shirt that you can work out in, and it's gonna. Well, CrossFitters usually take it off the first sign of sweat, so it doesn't last that long. But yeah, we've done a few logoed shirts with some sayings like "Gold Digger." You know, we have to look at it closely. People thought it was Gold Digger, but it's Gold Digger. We've got actually our top selling shirt right now was the spoof on the whole Starbucks Jiu-Jitsu and coffee, or kettlebells and coffee. We probably sell 15 shirts a day on Amazon alone for jiu-jitsu and coffee. We do go to jiu-jitsu tournaments, and the moms, that's their life. They're walking with their kid to the jiu-jitsu tournament with their coffee. So we will do some one-off things like that, but it's mostly, just a plain shirt that's a good quality fitting shirt that's got a Clinch Gear logo on it.
And there's definitely a space for that type of boutique that you're talking about. It's definitely not us. Like I said when I explained earlier, we have our hand in so many different areas that we have to deal with. That's just one that we're not.
Well, we've got in wrestling, so we do full custom for wrestling teams, and every year there's 5 new companies that are popping up on Facebook feeds, and what those are is a graphic artist sitting at home who has a template that designs a bunch of colorful designs for singlets and
really,
shorts.
Really pretty.
And then he sends them to Pakistan or Vietnam. The team gets it, and they're like,
we call them the one and dones. And
yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, we deal with schools that have endless budgets, and we have schools that have small budgets, and we're nowhere near the cheapest, but we are, like I said, Cal Poly still has shorts
high quality
from 2007. But when a school only has $35 or $33 to spend on a singlet or a short, that's not going to be us. But unfortunately, when they go to companies like that, a lot of times the material and the cut is so bad that it doesn't last a whole season, or what they order doesn't even fit their kids. So they blew all that money. There are so many schools. You got to look at from youth, middle school, to clubs, to high schools, to colleges, throughout the United States. We're talking about tens of thousands of teams. So if you only get a small percentage of them ordering from your nice, bright, shiny display that you throw up online, and you never order from them again, they don't care. They made their money.
Yeah.
So we have teams that have ordered from us in 2011, and then they got caught up with this guy in 2012, and then they call us last minute, hey, is there any way you can do our gear and get it to us in 3 weeks? And we're like, no, it's the middle of wrestling season. we're at 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they're kicking themselves because they went to a company like that trying to save a little money, and
that's rough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of that out there, but we have to deal with it. And we do everything we can to try to help that customer out, even though that, we educate them about companies like that. But
we've got really good lifting singlets for all the lifting clubs out there.
Yeah, so
yeah, nice.
We make the quality and the cut of our singlets, again, our material, it's probably some of the best quality material out there, and because of that, it's not cheap. But we don't want to offer a substandard. We don't want to offer something that's thinner and likely to either fall apart or rip sooner, just to get that extra couple of dollars. We don't want. I mean, it's not what we're about. So.
Yeah. So going back to the whole sponsorship thing for your MMA fighters, I know UFC now they got the Reebok deal, the infamous Reebok deal.
All so you were saying our spaces are Reebok. Our big spaces. So now UFC, CrossFit, and obstacle course racing.
I knew UFC, but I didn't know that the obstacle
Spartan,
the Reebok Spartan.
Well, yeah, and obviously CrossFit. So you were saying that they were taxing the shit out of you guys just to put your name on the damn shorts?
Yeah,
just
before we even pay a fighter.
Just for us to sponsor a fighter, for our product to be seen on TV, we had to pay the company a tax.
How long was that going on?
Several years, about 3 years before the Reebok.
Before the Reebok, do you think that was just a way to kind of weed out the sponsorship before the fucking deal hit?
No, I think
it was it was a money grab.
Yeah.
They tried to say that it was a way to ensure that the fighters were being paid. Okay, so if Joe Blow Short Company didn't play this fighter,
you're not going to give it to
was
them.
the UFC going to pay this fighter out of their tax they collected? Absolutely not.
No.
So when they said that, we just shook our heads. So we got to the point where we just stopped.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
well, you have to.
We couldn't pay the tax, and some of these companies that were just coming onto the market were paying these fighters such a ridiculous amount of money that I don't care how many shorts and t-shirts
They couldn't get their ROI back on a
you
t-shirt.
would never get it back.
Yeah.
Even if it was for a short. Let's say a fighter who wasn't even a main card fighter was wanting $15,000. I can't sell enough shorts to pay him that.
Right.
So we got to a point where we're just like, it's just not worth our time to sponsor.
Well, a lot of those companies are out of business because they weren't thinking ahead and trying to, and that's one thing about us is we weren't just an MMA brand. When we started, we were, but we were already going into the CrossFit space in Colorado when the company was there. All the gyms around there were wearing our gear. It's funny because someone just called us. Have you guys heard of the Crossover Symmetry program? All their pamphlets they sent out, the athletes in the pamphlets were wearing Clinch Gear. We had friends calling us going, I just got this pamphlet for my Crossover Symmetry and they're wearing Clinch Gear. I'm like, yeah, because they were located right next to our store, you know. So we were already kind of moving into that space and looking at obstacle course racing. We were already still doing wrestling. So we were already in different spaces. So we weren't pigeonholed. As soon as that the UFC Reebok deal came down, all those other companies,
those companies that were just
closing.
MMA only companies, they couldn't
make it.
They couldn't make it.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
so some of them folded.
Gone.
Some of the big ones are still there, and they're starting to do the same thing that they did in the UFC, and they're just kind of shooting themselves in the foot because they're running the price up on themselves when it comes to paying some of these guys in these lower level organizations that aren't being seen nearly as much as some of the top brands. So.
Man, that's such a bad deal for the fighters, sponsors.
It is.
Mean, does Bellator still allow?
Yes.
Bellator allows.
Is there any kind of tax?
Everyone allows
No.
except for the UFC.
Man.
There's no.
I wish they would actually pay their damn fighters more instead of nickel and diming the shit out of them.
Well, it's funny because some of the fighters in the UFC were like, "Oh yeah, it's a good deal, and Greg goes, "Here, let me break it down for you."
Oh, this was the conversation I had. I was actually just because I'll hang out with some of the executives with the UFC are friends of mine, the matchmakers. So I like to sit and shoot the shit with them. But I had a couple of fighters sitting there and like, yeah, that's a lot of money, you know, $70 million over, what is it, 7 years? And I'm like, let me break this down to you. $70 million is what a mid-tier basketball player gets for one shoe deal. One player.
Yeah, for 7 years.
For 10 years. Yeah. You're talking about that much money spread out over 285, 290 fighters.
Or more. I think it was 400 fighters.
On a whole roster.
Oh, wow.
And not evenly, right?
No.
No.
It's based
It's based on the sales of the apparel.
Well, no,
it's based on how many fights they had in the UFC.
Like if you've had 0 to 5 fights, you got
$2,500.
like $2,500.
Oh my gosh.
6 to whatever. So nothing. So if you fought 3 times a year, you weren't making anything. So once I told him that, and it sunk in, he goes, "Oh my God, you're right." Like he thought, I'm like, he thought that it was just going to get all divvied up evenly.
No, the politics in the UFC are ridiculous. Even like when CM Punk, who's never fought in the UFC before, transitioned over from wrestling. It was a big old marketing deal just to get numbers.
One, it took forever too before.
It took forever,
fought.
right?
Years.
Like, he's like, oh, I'm gonna do MMA now. Just decided because he's a superstar in wrestling. I'm gonna do MMA now.
Yeah.
Fights.
Well,
this
they
dude
brought
that
him
gets his
over.
ass kicked. Yeah. Again, see, he does his fight. He gets paid $500,000. His opponent, who whooped his ass, got paid what, 50 grand?
Maybe.
If that.
If that,
Oh my God.
40 grand. I was so mad. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Well, and I think Brock Lesnar probably, when he came back,
Oh,
made like $10 million, and he
Yeah.
was on juice. And he got to keep every penny of it, which is insane.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Yeah.
He didn't get the win, but he got to keep all the money. So if you don't penalize these guys, a one and done. Hey, I'm going to come back. I'm going
such a good old boy thing
Yeah,
going
it's-
on. I love watching the fights, but I hate hearing about that kind of
Yeah,
kind of
and
stuff
you know
going on.
the UFC is owned by a new company, and they just laid off a lot of people. A lot of people in the UFC lost their jobs, so I think there's going to be maybe a little reshuffle. Hopefully it'll get cleaned up a little bit. Hopefully it'll be ran more of as a business, as a corporation organization, sports organization, and not just, you know, Wild Wild West in Vegas like they've been doing. We'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the CrossFit landscape when the Reebok CrossFit deal is done in a few years.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some major players that are going to be...
Dude, Nike's just waiting, right?
So is Clinch Gear.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, I hope you guys. I hope you guys get it. I hope you guys get in there.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of money.
If they don't like money and they like free apparel, we're in.
But yeah, that'll be.
We'll put them on we'll put them on our ambassador program.
Cool. Well, so if you guys, I don't know if you guys heard, but she's obviously a power lifter. She just got back from nationals. Claudia, you want to tell us a little bit about how it went?
I saw the video.
Yeah. Lifting some weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. So it was the USAPL Raw Nationals in Atlanta this year. And so I got to go and compete actually in the prime time, which was super exciting because all these girls that I was looking up to like over the past year that I've been training and then getting to step on the platform with them and actually compete with them, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like pretty much like freaking out in the warm-up area. You know, with all the high level ladies back there warming up. So it was pretty awesome. And I didn't have my best performance as far as like PRs go. I hit like 5 pounds under my squat, so I ended up with 336, and then
what was your body weight?
Oh, I weighed in at 132.
That's boss right there.
Yeah.
So
pound for pound, I think she's stronger than me.
And then I matched like my old bench PR, which was like 171, and then deadlift I hit again like 5 pounds under my old PR, which is like 380. So I attempted the 402, like that would be triple body weight, and I missed it again. So the road to 400 continues. But yeah,
that's awesome.
It was really fun. It was a really awesome experience and really cool opportunity just to meet a lot of those people. And I'm totally hooked into the sport. I'm already like planning for next year's nationals and really wanting to amp it up. So I ended up placing 6th. Overall, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely something
having
to be proud
done
of.
it for about a year.
Cool.
So I'm pretty
happy
with that.
Some of those girls you looked up to now know who you are.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. And then I qualified for the Arnold.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I think I'm gonna go do that in March. So should be fun.
Maybe team
So we'll see.
Team Louisville will have a table and a booth there at the.
Yeah.
We might have to. We're definitely going to probably be there to
so it'll be pretty fun.
It's funny. So
we'll see.
I've talked to a lot of powerlifters in the past and being in that space and me doing it, and I had a psychological problem with lifting and hitting PRs. I can only PR when I wasn't paying attention, and my spotter would add more weight to the bar when I wasn't paying attention. Because I'd psych myself out. Whenever I would load the bar and I'd go, I know exactly how much weight I put on there, and it was a psychological block for me.
Yeah.
So
That's hilarious.
I could never power lift in a tournament because
you know
what's on there, and I just have this constant I'd PR all the time. Like I wouldn't be paying attention to the bench press, and before you know it, there'd be 7 more pounds on there, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And I put it up without a problem. You take that 7 pounds off there, and I loaded it, I wouldn't be able to do it. So it was crazy. I couldn't compete.
Yeah,
because of that.
That's why there's doctors that make lots of money in sports.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe I need someone to slap me so hard before I get on stage. What was her name again?
Knocks you out. Like, not even thinking straight before
you don't even know how much
there.
weight's on the bar.
That's something like having a concussion right before you're about ready to lift.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
I give it up to you. That's powerlifting it's an individual sport, but I always had that I had a mental block. I mean, I could do the weight.
Yeah.
But it was this mental block I had when it came to actually doing it
Yeah.
Did you have that same problem in track and field when you were throwing hammer? Or
No,
throwing
nothing at all. It was just the weight and the lifting, and I know how much weight I could do, and I've done comfortably, but as soon as I knew I was adding more weight to go for the PR, something blocked, and it would just...
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't being in front of people either?
No, this is just...
We're identical twins, and I didn't have that problem.
That's true. That's why I'm
PR
3 inches taller.
How long you been competing, Claudia?
I had my first meet last September or August.
So a little over a year.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, a little over a year. So
awesome.
Man.
I'm pretty excited. I think I have ended up putting 55 pounds on my deadlift and probably like 10 or 15 pounds on my bench and like 35 pounds on my back squat.
Mm-hmm.
So percentage wise, that's
We need
pretty
to get
good
her-
for a
we need
small
to get her
person.
an Lionheart singlet for the next tournaments.
Yeah, if you want to wear one.
We need to
we'll
get her
do it.
co-branded
We'll set you
with
up.
Clinch Gear.
Yeah. March is the next meet.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna sign up for the Arnold. So
Where's that at?
it's in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah. So it
That would
should
be cool to go.
It's,
check that out.
I've been there before. When I did the supplements, they have a big expo.
It is
as
a
well.
pretty big deal.
They
Yeah.
do everything there, from grappling tournaments to MMA.
They do strongman. They do.
Is it in Ohio every
bodybuilding.
year?
Yeah, it's in the same spot.
Yeah.
They do the same spot every year.
Okay.
That's where it was based for, I don't know, over 20 years they've been doing it now, or even longer than that, 30
Arnold
years.
sets foot in the state, I'm sure.
Man. Well, thanks for being on today,
absolutely.
guys.
Yeah,
This is awesome.
thanks for coming on.
us.
Yeah, for sure, and hopefully we can do it again next year. And
Is there anything that you guys want to plug? I mean, I'm sure if
what's
we
the website?
Google Clinch Gear, we find
yeah, it's
it. But
clinchgear.com.
Okay.
Instagram is Clinch Gear HQ. Look for us at the Proving Grounds for the Reindeer Games again.
Yeah.
I think we had the best booth last year. We're going to have to try and top it this year. And yeah,
Challenge
come by.
accepted.
We have a storefront, so if you're listening and you're local in San Diego, we offer 20% discounts when you come into our store and purchase, and then if you don't have to pay shipping. And you'll find our address on our website. We're in Santee. I call it East La Jolla, where the 52 ends.
Yeah, and if you're a box owner or gym owner or whatever it may be, reach out to us and we can see what we can do with your apparel.
Yeah, highly recommend them.
Semi-custom.
Very good stuff. Like I said, we got a bunch of their products, and we're very happy, and we will continue to do business with them.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. Don't forget to rate us and download our other episodes. For your supplement needs, go to louisvive.com, and for your sports therapy needs, visit movement-rx.com.
This Midwest nigga be the coldest. Cleveland is the city where it's hustle or you hopeless. In my closet like a stove, bitch. Only difference is you ain't gon' find this in no stove, bitch. I'm fresher than your whole clique.